Oh, hey guys. Hey guys, John the Mexican here, or Joe the Soccer Nuthead. And, I think it's better we do Japan now, because, let's face it, they don't need to be really last, but, I don't know, I think I just want to do the United States more because I am a big fan of the United States, but I have nothing against Japan, I really don't. Do I? It was a terrible year in 2010 for them, so it was it 2010 or 2011 when the horrible hurricane happened? Someone in the comments actually helped me with that. So yeah, yeah. So as a sign of cultural respect, I don't think there's no introduction to the 2011 World Cup champions and who will be trying to defend their championship this summer. Here is the national anthem of Japan as a sign of cultural respect. National anthem of Japan. Japan. Part of the original 12 as well. Nickname Nakazako Japan. I don't know what that means in Japanese. I know what Japan is. Someone explain what Nadeshiko Japan means. Not Japan, the word before that. Anyway. Okay. The champions didn't have, well, the best of starts. Try thinking of a lot of bad starts. Let's begin with 1991. Japan would want to. A lot of Japanese players and fans would want to forget 1991 China because it was possibly their worst performance ever. I'm dead serious. This is possibly the worst performance by a champion. Well, no, by an eventual champion in years later, because okay, despite losing 1-0 to Brazil, it was this match against Sweden where everyone wants to forget that this happened. What I mean is, they lost 8-0. I'm not bullshitting you, they lost 8-0. Sorry for cussing, I didn't mean to say that, but no kidding, this is true. This is true. So, yeah. Yeah, so, I'm not kidding you, that's what really happened. So yeah, that was basically the worst performance they ever did. And then, they would lose 3-0 to the eventual champions, the United States, which was just icing on the cake, as the team would place last as they exited the tournament without a goal. So they were one of the few teams, along with Nigeria, to exit out that tournament with 0 goals. So they got the golden goose egg, apparently. And 95 was better for Japan, even though they lost 1-0 to Germany. To Germany, yeah. It was the 2-1 victory versus Brazil that saved them from elimination. That would save them from elimination. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. Sorry, I don't know why I am repeating. I don't know. They would lose to Sweden 2-0, but they were one of the best third-place teams and advanced from the group. Sadly, their run ended when USA won 4-0. 4-0 in the. Yeah, sorry. Sorry, I can't remember why I wrote this sometimes. Sadly, their run ended when USA won 4-0. At least they did better than their first time. Yeah, come on, admit that part. So, 1999, this was, no. Japan tied with Canada 1-1 in the first game, but lost 5-0 the rest set, going back to the 1991 factor, and lost 4-0 to Norway. And that ended their chances to repeat of getting out of the group stage. So that was a quick one to say. 2003, Japan's 6-0 victory over Argentina. This is when Argentina was just horrible. And they still are. Sorry, Louise. I had to point that out. Going into 2 World Cups and not performing better than you did, than how horrible you were the first time, that's not a good sign. So, who did you say? A good friend of mine. Wasn't enough to save them as they lost 3-0 to Germany. Japan gave up a 1-goal lead in the 20th minute, but in the first 6 minutes, Canada scored and won 3-1 in the end. So yeah, their last game against Canada was the reason they didn't get out of the group stage, and Canada would eventually become 4th-place champions, and Germany would become eventual champions. So it kind of puts it there. As far as Argentina, you know the rest, hopefully. 2007, Japan's last-minute tie versus England. That was a 2-2 game in the last minute. Said that. And a 1-0 victory versus Argentina, and all they needed to do was beat Germany, and that didn't happen as they lost 2-0 to them, going out once again. So that's a kind of quick catch-up of what happened in 2007. Yeah, they had the promise, they had the players, but they just couldn't do it. Germany just became the eventual champions again, and it looked like there was no way they would ever beat Germany. Yeah, now we enter 2011, the year where they actually did it. Japan beat New Zealand 2-1, Mexico 4-0, and we're about to win the group if England had beaten them 2-0. So that's a quick catch up of that. But I think the real game here that was really important, besides the final, was the game against Germany. They have been beaten by Germany so many times, and they never thought they would actually beat them. The host nation, Germany, was just... It went into extra time, and then all of a sudden, a break came in, and Japan just scored that goal in extra time, and a lot of fans were crying because at the end, Germany lost 1-0 to Japan, and I don't know what the heck happened. Why Prince wasn't even playing. I don't know why Sylvia had the need to take her out and out player. That was really uncalled for from that coach. But this is going to be her last World Cup, so let's hope she doesn't make the same mistake with her players. So in the final, they ended up facing Sweden, who demolished them in 91, the 20 years ago, and they got their revenge. And they won 3-1 in the end. Sweden would eventually become first-place champions, and they would face against the United States, a team they have never won against. And after it would tie 1-1 in regulation, it would end up tying 2-2 in extra time, meaning the shootout had to happen. And the first two penalties from Japan were perfect. The first 2 penalties from USA not so perfect, but then Solo blocked the penalty. Then Wambach put a goal in, but Solo needed to stop it. Solo couldn't, and long story short, I can't really talk about this because it hurts. It hurts to see my country lose to Japan to a team in the final. I'm not saying anything against Japan. They kind of deserved it in the end. They were very great. So Japan would beat USA 3-1 on penalties, and they became the first Asian team in both men and women's World Cup to actually win a championship. So now the question is, how the hell did they get there? Sorry for cussing, but yeah, literally, I have to. Japan advanced to Canada by winning the group in the Asian Women's Football Championship, And in the final, they won against Australia 1-0. I think I spoke about this when I was talking about Australia. So that'll kind of do it for how they got there. Group C. Japan. I'm gonna be seeing Japan, so it's kind of nice to see the World Cup champions in the first two games of their group games. So, Group C, Japan will play Switzerland on the 8th of June. The 12th of June will be against Cameroon. Then on the 16th will be against Ecuador. And so it'll be Japan, Switzerland, Cameroon, Ecuador. That's how it works there. And finally, just 3 more teams after this. So that'll be it for Japan. I hope I didn't offend anyone. I apologize for the 2 cuss words I ever spoke in here. It's supposed to be a friendly video, but you know what? I think it's fair to say that this is all right. So join me next time as we'll get into Germany, the United States, and finally the host nation Canada. Until then, later, suckerinos.